Just so you know, if you are sensitive to any of these topics, we are going to go not very into detail with them because I don't think that any of us want to, but we are going to go a little bit more into detail about the topics that we don't want to see. So if that is not your jam, that's totally fair. It's not really any of our jams either, but such is the way that it goes, and we will be talking about it. So you have been warned. Hello, everybody, and welcome to QWERTYcast. Today, we have a very fun topic, which is why I was chosen to host, probably.
Hi, Dave.
This will teach you to speak up.
Yeah, we have basically everyone here with us today. I am Dave.
Oh, that's your name.
Who's that? Who else is here? We've got
Andres.
Kenny.
Cam.
Beans. Steve.
and
Pink
Joe
Ranger.
could not be here, so we
No, he's here.
found a
Listen.
way to separate his voice from his body, and we killed him.
Look at
This
him.
is this is
But
what he
he's
sounds
still
like.
sentient.
Do you want to hear him say hello or not?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
this is him. This is
Oh, hello, everyone.
I don't know.
How
we
long
should-
until we get a holographic Joe?
Yeah, we need to sample
Just to
every
be in the
single
background for
word
everyone.
and then put it into like Dietbot or
Is it Joe
something
Dictionary?
so that we can actually play out sentences.
Yeah, we'll pull Star Wars, just recreate them in space.
yes.
I like it.
In space.
He's our
Is he going to be on the Doge
Captain
rocket?
Leia.
Doge rocket.
Yeah.
Joe's going to be the voice navigator.
That's where he is now.
Ooh,
You're like 1,
Um,
2, 3.
Mars.
Ah! That's the liftoff.
So anyway,
That would be great to hear that on
for those of
public
you
television.
who somehow stumbled upon episode 31 and are like, I have no idea what I'm listening to, we are QWERTYcast. This is the podcast that we have where we talk about indie games, PC games, and everything in between. Today, our subject is going to be about crossing lines. I don't know how
Not
better to
to
put
be
that.
confused with crossing streams.
Right. That is a totally different thing.
Or chickens crossing streets.
Again, I was chosen because I have no lines at all. I
Yeah.
have no moral compass. I've lost it. It's been beaten out of me. But with that, how about we get right on into the first question? And I'm going to open it up to whoever wants to talk first. Is there a game, preferably indie, that has crossed a line for any of y'all?
Why don't we do you want to let Joe talk first and see
Yeah,
what
you
he
know
has
what?
to say?
Let's let
Sure.
Joe talk first. Joe,
Yeah.
So we
how
don't
about you
like
tell me about it?
repeat what he says, but yeah.
We won't repeat it.
Oh, hello, everyone. I don't know if they told you guys about this, but I'm going to say it again if they didn't, because I don't normally make the podcast times due to me working. They asked me to start putting input on these when I have the ability to. So essentially, they are going to react to what I'm saying and add in on the conversation, obviously without me being there. So I'm going to start with the question one of the two questions. Any game that crossed the line for me. There was one in particular that truly crossed the line when I realized it now as an adult than I did when I was younger. Actually, there's two. First one is No Russian from Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. To the people that do not know what that mission is you're essentially performing a terrorist act on an airport where you're gunning down everyone there. And I'll admit it, when I was younger, I enjoyed the mission because it had a lot of plot points to it. A lot of stuff happened at the very end of it. But now as an adult, I'm like, wait, that's fucked up. Like, you're doing an open terrorist attack. That's really disturbing when you think about it. You just walk into an airport and gun a bunch of people down with a light machine gun and a grenade launcher. And then you fight off some SWAT members. Remember correctly, this happens in Germany. Don't quote me on that. I don't really remember. Going off a little bit of a vague memory here. Older, obviously, this is very fucked up. And the second one is a game series near and dear to my heart. It's called Command and Conquer Generals. Primarily Generals in Zero Hour. This is an RTS game. I've derailed so hard off this, sorry. This is an RTS game, and one of the forces is called GLA. The GLA, Global Liberations Army, if I remember that correctly, is perceived as the bad terrorist group. And in it, you have not just slaves that do all your work, but also suicide bombers that you openly send out. When I was younger, this is one of my favorite games of all time. I spent way too many hours in this. Absolutely adore the game series. When I was younger, didn't think anything about it because you're young and dumb. As an adult, now I'm like, that's still kind of fucky.
I love the still kind of fucky.
It
Yeah,
says
so,
no
uh,
Russian
oh,
was in Moscow.
It was.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
Russian.
Yeah,
So.
yeah.
But okay.
Those games were. It's funny because they were actually two of the ones that I had originally picked as well, and I'm sure you guys were thinking in similar lines.
Oh,
The
definitely.
first time I played through that Call of Duty game, I was confused because when you first pop out of the elevator, and like they don't really give you a whole lot of like, hey, you're undercover as a terrorist, but you need to keep your
Yeah,
cover.
they don't tell you anything.
All of a sudden, your like teammates start just mowing down people in the airport, and I was just blown away. I forget when that originally released, but I think it was somewhere around like my senior year of high school, and I was just
Here's
like,
the thing, like,
Yeah,
I was annoyed I
that
couldn't
sounds about
shoot
right.
the citizens.
Jeez.
I did, what? Why?
Oh,
Why?
Momo.
Huh? I was just,
I
I was
left.
playing
I
that
didn't play it.
mission. I was like, why can't I shoot these people? It cuts the mission if I do. And I honestly didn't get it until the very end. I was like, oh, I guess I'm not one of those guys.
Right.
But it still didn't bother me. I was actually more bothered that I couldn't do the bad deed.
Yeah, I think that at least the copy that I had actually gave you like this, do you want to skip the first mission option?
Yeah.
And I don't know if that was originally with it or if I got that in like a second
I think it
release.
was originally with
Yeah.
it. Because I think I remember seeing that too.
Yeah.
And I got it early.
I think most people don't want to play a game where you're just killing innocent people when you're expected to be the hero, which is what you're supposed to be in a Call of Duty game, which is why that was so like twisting for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I
Right.
kind of, sorry, keep going.
Oh no. I was here. Finish your thought, and I still have mine. I think.
Okay. I kind of suffer from the fact that Call of Duty just throws waves of enemies at you. And I just don't care what they are. I shoot them.
That was
Desensitization.
True.
literally what I was about to say. Is Call of Duty, even though you're
They-
supposed to canonically be the hero of it, it's just another shooting game that throws waves of enemies at you and
And dogs.
desensitizes you to
Yeah.
Yeah.
and dogs.
Yeah, it generates
to it.
like an
so
apathy.
Kind of just don't question it, and the fact that it like got picked up, I feel like more people after the fact were offended by it than like the people who actually picked it up and played it right away. But maybe not. I don't know.
And now we
I don't
have
play
the
Call of
show
Duty.
Invincible.
I loved that. It was pretty good.
Oh,
Yeah.
that shit
Yeah.
was crazy.
I
Yeah.
binged it
And
all
I
in
mean-
2 days.
But talk about like being desensitized and how far we come, but also like not quite desensitized enough for some of the shit that happened in that show.
Oh, that show did make me visibly cringe. Actually, Max and Kim were here, and we all watched it. And Kim and I were like, "Oh, I didn't know this. That's what this was gonna be. This is hard. This is tough."
So did you ever play any like gore style horror games?
Oh.
Like mutilation or
Hellraiser.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
well, those aren't the names of them, obviously. That's just what happens.
Yeah.
Grotesque, I think is a good word.
Yeah. Oh, we should
Yeah.
mention before we go any further, this was actually this topic was brought up to us by one of our community members, Walker. So shout out to you, man. Thanks for getting us on this.
Yeah, he keeps,
His-
keeps bringing topics to us. He's good
Yeah.
ideas. I think he was part
His-
of the original for choices too.
Yeah, he's playing through Dead Space right now. He just finished Dead Space 1. He's on Dead Space 2.
He finished it too.
And did he finish 2? Nice. And in Dead Space 2, there are, and I think 1 as well, but there are necromorph babies, which are basically alien zombie babies. And he definitely had some issues having to take those on. Just
There's a lot more babies in 2. Like
Yeah.
there's the whole nursery that goes on.
Oh yeah.
To describe the scene you first deal with them, you walk in. I remember that vividly. Okay, maybe it's like moments in games that I remember. I should probably speak about because most games don't actually bother me in that sense.
Yeah.
But this
Yeah.
moment, you walk in and you see this woman crying, and she's like reaching over to her baby, who's now a necromorph. And you're like, "Well, that necromorph baby is a big boy right now because it's about to explode, and that's what it does.
Oh.
So it explodes, the whole room gets covered in blood.
Oh.
That's how you're first introduced to what that enemy does. Yeah. Good game design.
Great game design.
A little messed up, I guess.
Very
But
messed up.
I shot a lot of those babies.
One also had the
I mean,
Yeah,
you
bring 'em
gotta-
on.
Yeah.
the medic scene.
I think he
with
can
the
kick
needle.
some too.
Wait, the medic scene?
Yeah, the automated medic.
Oh
with the
yeah,
needle.
with the
stick a
eye?
needle in your eye.
Ooh,
Yeah.
man, that messed me up because I don't know. I already have a thing with like eyeballs and
Yeah,
it just
pretty
doesn't-
much
yeah.
all the deaths in that scene or in that game messed me up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I just haven't played the games that would actually cross a line for me. I've
Yeah.
never had any real interest in the Dead Space franchise personally, so I've never played it. Not a Call of Duty fan, never played it. I've played Call of Duty, obviously the multiplayer, but like these games that you guys are talking about, I'm just sitting here like, that sounds like a thing.
Yeah. And like even the game like Outlast where you go into like an insane asylum and there's people who are like I think there's mutilation in there's like fucked up bodies, all this stuff, but it's not like ray tracing level of like graphic design that it feels so scary to me. It feels so disgusting to look at. And I almost feel like who is enjoying or who really wants to make content like that it's like high definition, really gross graphic content. I mean, I know it's happening already in like it's happened in TV and films for years, but I feel like with games you almost have to do so much more work to really put that detail in that you're either making a point because like the point needs to be made, or I'm just gonna steer clear of your game.
Outlast, that's another game that I know exists and never played.
Yeah.
It is scary.
Got that one?
Outlast was not as scary as Dead
No,
Space or
and there's such
Amnesia.
scarier games. Yeah, Amnesia. I was gonna say too. That I'm pretty sure that has a lot of really scary and like horrible body mutilation moments, right?
Yeah,
Amnesia
but not
played a little bit of.
Amnesia. It was so different from Dead Space because Dead Space was definitely a little bit more polished. Definitely, you could see bigger studio, more money. But the thing that Amnesia did so differently and so well compared to Dead Space was its atmosphere building. Like it really got into the mind of the player to kind of make you scare yourself more.
Also, you can't fight.
And
Yeah,
you
that's
can't
like-
fight.
that's
Yeah,
what's scariest for
you
me.
can't defend yourself.
yeah, you have to run.
Yeah, the game was almost like a psychological experiment.
But I watched a video recently that Walker also shared about. Actually, he shared something about Dead Space, but it led me to a video about Amnesia that talks about how they put a rule in this game. You have a sanity meter in the game, and during the whole game you're like, oh, if my sanity meter goes all the way to 0, the monster's gonna find me more, or whatever, And there's even a tip in the game that says, like, don't let your sanity dip below this level or you'll be more vulnerable to the monster. And apparently that's just a lie.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, that actually it doesn't do anything. It just scares the player into thinking it does.
Brilliant.
The sanity meter.
Wow.
Well, it also
Yeah,
messes
it doesn't
with
make
the
you run
visuals.
slower. It just gives you visual effects, and that's about it.
And that actually was why I stopped playing. Was the sanity meter? I was like, I have nothing to fill this with. I don't know where to go. I can't fucking see anything. I'm not scared as much
Can't
as I
it-
am pissed off.
Can't it kill you? I thought it killed you.
It'll make you like pass out, but then you just wake up again.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I
Alright,
just
what other-
sprinted through that game.
Yeah.
I took my time. I
Oh my
lost my
gosh,
mind.
I can't. I just remember
I-
the one time I played, I was like crying.
If I had to
So
do
scary.
any game that I've actually played that I could say could have possibly crossed a line, I would say the closest that I would get would be BioShock, the first time that I harvested one of the little girls. But even then, I was
Ooh.
just like, I'm still getting this achievement. You're not stopping me.
Oh, in
Yeah, you
Dead
can't
Space, I was
scare
trying to
me.
remember this. In Dead Space, there's a scene where it's like, you end up, I think you like have to, or maybe I'm thinking either Dead Space or Fear, but you like have to like sever someone's limb or something, or like hack through it or something, and that shit is hard for me.
Fear, one of my favorite games. That game I
Love
played on the
Fear.
original Xbox and it broke. One of my saves just broke and you could load into it and I had one gun. It was a shotgun, but it was invisible, and every time I fired it, I did a 180. But I had infinite ammo.
Nice. Just
Oh my
spinning
God.
around the field.
Don't know how to recreate that bug, but I played that game. Wasn't scary because I had an infinite ammo shotgun that made me turn around every time I fired it.
It's there.
So have you guys you guys ever heard of Postal?
I have heard of it.
Yeah.
So
heard of
Postal
it,
was,
yeah.
and I think
Heard
actually,
of it.
I think there's like 4 of them now. It was made by Running with Scissors. It's an indie game. They published it themselves on PC. I remember when it first came out, it was actually the controversy that made me learn about it and go and get it. It's literally just a guy who's suffering from some type of psychological issue where he's being evicted from his house. He thinks that the Air Force is like doing something to the neighborhood. But anyway, the name of the game Postal is literally like he goes postal, and you just top down isometric just kill everything as you make your way to like a base or something. But it was literally just like spinning around, and like your neighbors are walking the dogs and just mowing them down, and like it was just crazy. I put it in the same category as the Call of Duty game, where it's literally just it was going for shock factor, and it succeeded. But it was
You can like
yeah.
pee on people and
Oh yeah, there was a bunch
light
of
Oh my
dogs on
God.
fire. You can like
Yeah.
light people on fire. You can do crazy things. In
Jesus.
that.
But it was that whole like suburban terrorism that it was like going for.
God, this looks insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, as a kid, wasn't allowed to play Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Honker.
Crossed the line.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. I didn't even know about that game until I was older.
Dude, the references
and how
in
like
that game.
crude it was.
One of the first
The
mature
references
games
to
for
that game are pretty
Nintendo.
good.
Yeah.
Just the,
Oh yeah, if
And
we
then-
want to talk about crude games, we could bring up Leisure Suit Larry.
Yeah.
I don't want to
my-
talk about crude games.
Well, so yeah, because like, we know that like for a lot of people, the lines that are crossed are like sexual or violent. You know, I feel like I was looking up most controversial games, and a lot of times it is essentially what No Russian did, which is just unfiltered murder of like random or innocent people. I don't think I would really play that game just to play it.
But also that also happens in Grand Theft Auto. Like,
yeah,
all of the Grand
actually,
Theft Autos.
and I played that all the freaking time. I mean, I've
Yeah.
only had the one, but
I just
Yeah.
remember
I would
going
go
to the
on
store.
to Grand Theft Auto. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I remember going into the store to get San Andreas.
Mhm.
You know, I was not old enough to get it, and I was like, "Mom, can I get this game?" And she was like, "Yeah, sure." And we go there, and the guy who works the register is like, "Do you know what's happens in this game?" And I'm like, I'm like in my head, I'm like,
hyped it.
"You motherfucker!"
yeah.
You just
That
threw me
bastard.
under.
They were
We
like
didn't get that thing.
instructed to do that, I think, because it was like a lot of
Oh.
people just didn't know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And this is even before the coffee
Yeah.
scandal thing that happened,
Which yeah.
where you can't even do it on the PS2.
It's rough because like I don't know, everybody's sense of morals is slightly different, but like whenever it came to the sexual stuff, as long as it wasn't like aggressive sexual, if it wasn't like what I would consider to be over the line, but if it's just purely just like, hey, this character went and had sex with this character, like it never really seemed to bother me, but it always ends up being such a controversy. Like it's just odd.
Yeah.
Mm.
I think that it just comes down to a few different things. Like I think that a lot of the controversy just gets spun out of proportion by like a few loud groups. Like when you think of a game being controversial rather than it actually crossing a line, like you'll talk to the average person, they won't say anything about
That's a
it,
good point.
but the controversy's there because there are groups of people who want to blame these for different things. There's always going to be somebody in the government trying to blame all gun violence on video games and all that dumbass shit.
Yeah.
But before I digress too far, Andres and Kenny, I believe you two had examples that we talked about in Host. Andres, I think you mentioned Lisa, and Kenny,
Oh.
I can't remember what game you mentioned.
I mentioned a couple of things. I mean, Carrion was one of the first things. If we're talking more about indie games, Carrion was one of the first things that popped into my mind because you play a monster that just kills humans, which it wasn't really a line crossing for me, but that was like a close example. But I was also thinking of Binding of
That's
Isaac.
pretty gory
because
too.
It's very gory. It's very
You,
gory,
like,
especially
rip
for a 2D
people
game.
in half and eat them.
Oh yeah, no, I got to a point like where I was like, I think Corey was watching me play, and I was like, "You like my monstering?" And he was like, "Yeah, it's a little extreme for me, but if you're having fun," because I'm just like, you can grab people with like a tentacle, and I was just like slapping them around and making the blood go
Yeah, it's
everywhere.
awesome.
Yeah, it was great. But there
it's
was a
just,
point
like,
where I
it
was like,
looks
"Am I a
ridiculous.
monster?"
Is it me?
Is it me?
What was the other game, Kenny?
Binding of Isaac,
Oh, okay. And
which
and
is
what's
I know
the-
Andres has played that a lot more than I have, but like
Right.
a lot of I haven't played a lot of that because for some reason it bothered me. There was a lot about it that bothered me.
Yeah, and it's like weird because I was actually going to mention just a lot of games that came out on Newgrounds and then now even coming out on like itch.io, you know, the indie game scene of just random crude stuff. Okay, so Newgrounds especially, when we were younger, I feel like there was always that point of just shock value. So there was like so many dead baby jokes. There were so many like really off, I don't know what the fucking phrase I'm looking for is, but just like really awful things. And
It's like
but at the
anti-
same
It's the only
time,
way to grab attention for a while. Shock
yeah,
value.
yeah, exactly. But at the same time, like us as kids, we're in on the joke, you know, and we are aware of the fact that like, no, I'm not advocating for killing babies. I'm just saying like this is ridiculous. It's so hyper ridiculous that why would anyone ever take
Yeah,
it
the
seriously?
joke is the joke. Like,
Yeah.
Right.
it's like that.
and
like
and
one
but at the
layer
same
removed.
time, yeah, exactly. And at the same time, there are definitely points where like if you get to jackass level humor, I honestly didn't enjoy that much. Like really
I didn't
just kind of
either.
like self mutilation and all that kind of like very bro-y type of shit. But but at the same time, some games, if they're polished, you know, Binding of Isaac was just a really good roguelike.
Yeah, even though it was a lot of genetic babies. Like,
Yeah,
it was a
and
mutated
I
baby.
think, yeah, and like all the poo in the game, I think it always bothered me. I never enjoyed
Oh
that
man,
about it.
come on! Think about like go back to like Digimon. There was a whole poo monster that like 90% of the
Yeah.
time
I
that's
love
what
that.
you
That was so
God.
funny and so frustrating.
But
In
yeah.
Persona 5, there's like a very, very high level persona that you can capture that's literally a dick on wheels.
Love it.
Like
Nice.
it's
Oh my
insane.
God.
Just look up Mara, or don't.
How about
Um,
every police station in Grand Theft Auto has a dildo in it?
Yeah.
You beat the shit out of people with it.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then I think what I mentioned in hosts was actually.
Oh god, even this trailer.
Oh
with
God!
Binding
Oh
of Isaac,
God!
I hate
I'm
it.
gone. Yeah, that was awful. Is it done? Oh no! Go away.
They make a
Okay,
really good
sorry.
card game. by
If
the
you're
way.
Check out our Patreon if you want to see what the heck we're talking
video cast, yeah, that was awful.
Binding of Isaac
Um,
trailer. Wow.
And then what else? Lisa the Painful. Incredible game, incredible soundtrack. But it's like an RPG where you are like at the end of the world. There's no more women, and like
Binding of
everyone's
Isaac,
just kind
no.
of like devolved, and it's gotten like really tribal. But at the same time, all the men are filling in like the like traditional roles that women would have, but also in like the most awful ways possible. There's like a lot of implied like rape stuff. There's a lot of implied violence and mutilation. And one of the scenes, because it's like post-apocalyptic, and one of the scenes you are spoiler alert, you are in a bar with like the enemy faction, and you're with your RPG team that you've been building for like half of the game, and you literally have to choose to either chop off limbs of your own limbs that actually you use for gameplay, or kill off a party member. And that was really tough. I kind of had to do a little bit of both, because otherwise I would just be left a stump, and I would have to just do headbutts the entire game.
Kill the party members.
Kill the party, yeah, but like, and there were definitely party members I wouldn't have really wanted, but if you kill the party members and you create like depression among your party, people could literally leave your party just because they think you're a bad leader. So there's like,
Yeah.
in video games, there's stuff that like us as players, if you play enough games, you know it's just a game. I don't care if these characters win or like live or die. But if
Right.
it's affecting my gameplay, if it's affecting my progress and makes it harder for me to play the game later on if I make a morally corrupt decision, that like then I'm gonna lean towards the thing that's nicer.
But that's what I don't want.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I guess it can't cross a line when it's affecting gameplay for me because it's like my decision is based purely around what's going to be the most beneficial for me as the player, not like what's the morally correct choice to do. Most of the time, unless there's an achievement involved where I have to make the morally correct choice. Well, then I'll do that one too on a separate save file.
I know I played like Dishonored and Dishonored 2. I played Dishonored 2 as the woman, and I felt the need to play her as a no-kill run. Just to like the way she talks in the game. She's always so kind, and she's like, I gotta get in there and like find a way to stop him. If you play Corvo, he's like, I gotta get in there and eliminate the target. Straight off from the beginning, he just wants to kill everyone.
Cool.
So yeah, like it's how they talk. So I'm like, well, I feel like I need to. But like,
Yeah, that does affect me sometimes, actually.
yeah, but I'll say like they're like, I still like will play things where if it affects it in a bad way, I don't like it. I'll be honest.
Yeah, I think for me,
Yeah.
a lot of it is how fictional it is versus how realistic it is. So, like, one of the games that I had on my list was back in, I think it was like the early 2000s. I don't know if you guys remember. There was a game that came out from Rockstar. It was called State of Emergency.
I do know it.
So the primary developer of that game decided he wanted to make his own studio. So he created something called Traffic Studios, and he wanted to make a realistic game. And this is, I shit you not, this story is crazy. But basically, it was like a flip of the coin. He was either going to do the Apollo moon landings, or he was going to do the JFK assassination. We all know where this story is going. So he created a video game where you play as Lee Harvey Oswald. You watch as the limo comes down the street. You take shots at him. And then here's the craziest part about this. After you've completed the mission, it goes back, does a full replay with ballistic analysis, and gives you a score based on how close you were to what actually happened. And so for me, like, I think that crosses the line because I understand that it's based on a historical event, but what it's doing is it's generating a fantasy from the negative perspective. Like, if he said he was trying to create an educative game that did like an analysis on what happened and everything was from an outsider's perspective, it'd be different. But he literally said, yeah, you get to shoot the president in this game, and that was like the marketing tool. I'm pretty sure it got shut down pretty quick, but like, if you're gonna shoot aliens all day long and do crazy mutilation stuff to them, like, I'm way more willing to be like, yeah, go for it, than if it's like, hey, remember that guy that was murdered in a horrific accident? You get to participate in that. Like,
Right.
You get
yeah.
to do
But,
it.
like, you got like games like Sniper Elite where you can shoot someone's ball sack off.
Yeah.
All right, like,
Uh,
but I've
There's
done
this
it.
list
done it.
here. What is it? Fucking, I just saw
Mortal
it. It was
Kombat.
Super Columbine Massacre RPG.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
That probably
no,
shouldn't
you.
be in there.
There's a few.
No.
Like, do you guys remember the kid who created his high school as using the Doom editor, and then brought that map in and played with his friends, and he ended up actually going to jail for like a year because they like got him on
Wow.
terrorist charges because the map was extremely realistic to the school.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah, lines. I don't want to see somewhere I usually go being shot the
Hey,
heck
that's
up.
where I ate lunch.
Well,
Like,
Yeah.
speaking
I
of,
think a line for a lot of people is terrorist attacks or like basically just violence on innocents. I would say
Things that they're triggering because they really.
sexual and violence on innocent people.
yeah.
I remember when I was playing the game Frostpunk, I think it was Andres that was watching me as I was like about to beat it. Like, there's like this whole it's a real-time strategy game, and there's like the super freeze that's coming and gonna basically kill anyone that's not within your little town, but you have to have everyone like, you know, generating heat and making food, and you have to have doctors ready to go if people are sick, and you know, you have to have and places for those people to live. But when this thing comes, it just like kills people. Like, people are just dying left and right. I remember Andres, I think, was watching me and just be like, oh my god, you're letting all those people die, and I was just sitting there like, it's a sacrifice I have to make. I feel like I'm not gonna win if these people don't die. Like, it becomes such a trolley problem in that kind of way. Like, if these people die, it's okay because it'll save the rest of the people in the game. And it's a kind of one of those good examples of like, oh, I'm letting this bad thing happen, but it doesn't necessarily affect my gameplay. Like, yeah, people in the game judged me a little bit for it, but like at the end of the game, I still won.
And the lesson learned is that the decisions that you made way back at the beginning resulted in hundreds of deaths later on.
Probably, yeah.
Oh my
Maybe
god.
I
Kenny
should go
didn't
back
learn
and
that
revisit.
lesson, but Steve's here to teach it to him now.
Thanks,
Um,
Steve.
Andres, you mentioned not wanting to see like the place that you eat at being shut up, and I think
Yeah.
it's been a long time since we've heard from Joe, and so I want to know what he does not want to see in a video game, and then I want to know the kind of things that you guys don't want to see in a video game. Before we go any further, I do want to say that we already have discussed it, but we're very much creeping into trigger warning kind of territory where these topics are going to be hard to hear.
We probably
so-
should put a trigger warning just at the beginning of this episode.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
also we don't advocate for violence or killing innocents. And here's Joe.
And for the second question, things you wouldn't want to see in a video game. Very, very upfront and foremost, anything involving children. No. That shit draws that line very quickly. If you remember the teaser for The Last of Us, either 1 or 2, 2, I'm sorry, that happened with Ellie and Dina and that entire series, that was pushing it. That pushed it very hard for me. Last was one of those series that I haven't played because it involves kids. I have a very soft spot for kids, and if something happens to kids, I'm like, yo, this is some fuck shit. There's some real fuck shit that I do not want to be around. I don't want to play. I don't want to affiliate myself with. Fuck it. If I have the ability to, I'll refund the game. I don't want to deal with that. Anything else that draws the line for me outside of kids? Anything doing with like a rape scene, something like that. I know I'm getting very rated R onto this, but this is just like the extent of where I'm going to be okay with and what I'm not going to be okay with. So no kids, no rape, no. This is more like a weird peeve. I don't want to say pushes the line, but over sexualization of men and women in general. You don't need to show all the skin to near they're hardly not wearing anything. That's not necessary. That's not needed. Give them some decent fucking clothes. It's not that hard. Like, I can't really think of an example off the top of my head, but it's just like, you guys understand what I'm talking about. Like, I don't want to see all the bits and pieces to both sexes. Like, I don't care for that. That needs to stop. Sure, you know, like, oh, it's for money, fucking cheddar cheese and shit. Nah, stop. Put a damn shirt on. Put somewhat decent fitting pants on and all that. But yeah, that's how I stand on all of those. So yeah, if you guys want to debate with me at all, scream at me in the Queercast Discord. Just, you know, at me, and we can discuss. So yeah, miss you guys also very much. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will see you all next week. Peace out and stay safe.
Oh, what a nice wholesome way to
I
end
know.
that.
That's what I was going to say. That's such a wholesome way to end such an awful topic.
I kind of get what he
Such a
says though.
downer.
So like to bring it back, like things that like he's over sexualization just kind of bothers him. So like things that bother you can kind of cross that personal line, but you know it doesn't cross societal's line in the same way that like killing children would do, or terrorism or rape. Like for me, I can't deal with limbs breaking. I can't.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Or like getting your throat cut. I hate it. I can't watch it. It's
Interesting.
something weird. Yeah. Like
Oh god, one of the scenes in Call of Duty when he burns you alive.
Oh.
So-
that one was a hard one.
that doesn't bother me, but there is a scene in Call of Duty where you're descending down a mountain. This is another one that I remember so vividly. And you see these two guys below you, and you descend down quietly with the other guy, and it's one of those kill them at the same time thing. But you kill him with a knife, and you stab him in the neck.
Oh, they make it
You hold his
super-
mouth so he doesn't scream.
Oh,
and
yeah.
he looks at you, the camera,
Yeah.
and his eyes kind of like glint and fade away. And I'm just like, I was really disturbed by that. I'll be honest,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
because they cut the neck.
Yeah. I think for me, it's stuff being like inserted into eyes might be the one thing that I can't do violence wise, and just to get it out on the table. Rape, not cool with it. No reason for it to be into a game.
Agreed.
especially not like actually visibly shown in a game. Pedophilia, not cool with it.
Because it's like, why are
not
you
necessary.
coding that?
Right,
Why do you
exactly.
have an
That's
artist
the-
creating those assets? Unless, like I said, there's a point to be made, but at the same time, like,
Like
I have a hard time seeing what
Like,
like,
what could
could
you-
possibly
yeah,
be
Yeah,
made
so like
from
I
that.
could understand if we're talking about like it's one of those interactive stories where there is like some concept that they're trying to get across. I realize that there's a very thin line that would actually generate this type of content in the first place. But like we talk about like in the movie industry, sometimes it's really potent to be able to show this as a way of like making audiences understand that this is a thing and that we need to cut this out. So like in those types of concepts, I could see a small little excuse for that. But yeah, just in general entertainment content, it is rare and shouldn't be seen frequently.
but even in the movie and TV industry, you can find so many situations. Like, I mean, it's probably not very well reported on, but it would be like personal stories of actors and actresses being in those scenes and it not being taken, like it not being produced correctly. It produced like tone deaf, that's like, this is way too much. It's like there's too many crew members. I know Kenny and I have probably had a situation before where if there's like a sexy or sexual scene in a movie or film, you usually do a skeleton crew. You don't have that person be in front of all of your cast and crew members completely naked. Like you have to produce those scenes with a lot of respect, and the same would have to go with a video game. Like I could see
guess
it
it's
being
the
used.
medium.
Sorry,
Yeah, what was that movie where they it was about the Damien, the devil's child, and they just have sex in the beginning.
oh, Antichrist.
Is it
You mean
Omen?
with
Or is
this
it
like a
Antichrist?
version of
the
that?
Antichrist is the one with like Willem Dafoe, and there was like
Yeah.
a really
They did like a penis
God,
double.
they made us-
'cause-
uh-huh.
Yeah,
it's
they made
No,
us have to edit that.
I know we had to
shit.
in editing class. Like what the fuck?
but he had a penis double.
Yeah, I guess it's like
Yeah.
it's the medium. So the idea behind a video game is
That's
that
a
you're
big penis
participating
double.
in the story in some way.
I
And so
thought
in
it was
that
'cause-
respect, I get it.
That's a
right.
good point.
And to force somebody, and, force being a weird word for choosing, like someone has chosen to play this game. But if someone's choosing to play your game and you're like, hey, in my game you get to act out a rape fantasy, you're just like,
Yeah,
why? Like there's no
no.
need for
Yeah.
it. Like you can cover that without the player ever needing to touch it.
Yeah.
And
For sure.
I just don't I don't see a need for it. That being said, is there anything else? Maybe that's like a personal line, maybe not something so kind of universal.
Damn, there was
Anything
something.
of you guys? Mine's still the eye thing. When
Yeah.
like scenes come in and you see like really close up, or like open wound surgery stuff, like any movies and
Even Surgeon Simulator.
like shows, anything that shows like a
Guts.
spleen or a heart or whatever being operated on and like the blood being pulled out, anything like that, can't do it.
Even
I
Surgeon
absolutely-
Simulator.
Surgeon
It's a little
Simulator
goofy.
being cartoony, no, that doesn't do it.
Yeah.
So there
Just
was do you guys remember like the story games like Detroit is the one I'm going to talk about, where it's basically you're watching a movie but you make decisions using the controller and that kind of affects the
Yeah.
story.
Yeah.
This one, without giving away the story because it's fantastic, so I definitely recommend playing it, but there was a sequence, it's about robots that are very humanoid, and there's a sequence where one of the characters is extremely abusive towards his robot maid.
Oh, that is one. Just
And-
abuse like that.
Yeah, and I cringed through the whole sequence, and I understood the justification for it and the purpose of the story because the story was explicitly talking about the moral concept of abusing a machine, but the visual is a man beating a woman, and it was just horrendous.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that crosses the line for me.
A little less like of human violence sort of thing. I still can't really handle very detailed spiders in games. I used to have
Joe can't either.
Yeah, I used to
I know
have
that's a
really
thing that he isn't like.
right. Yeah, and I used to have really bad arachnophobia as a kid. And it's gotten better and better. Like I could handle like a peacock spider because they're super cute, and there's some spiders. But I remember in Breath of the Wild, no, not Breath of the Wild, in
Skyrim?
Skyward Sword. I still haven't played Skyrim. I know I'm crazy, but in Skyward Sword there was there's the spiders that they come down from the ceiling to surprise you, and then they actually with their full body grab your whole body, and then you have to like shake yourself out of it with the Wiimote and the nunchuck, and then start slashing them when they turn their back on you. But just like the first meeting of that spider that I didn't expect came down from the ceiling and grabbed my whole body with its legs, I screamed and threw my controllers away and had to stop playing for a little bit. And then the next time I experienced something so scary to look at was actually in Grounded. That
Grounded,
game.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to bring up
those
Grounded
spiders are
because
too much.
there's apparently a setting that you can turn on if you have arachnophobia that will make the spiders less scary.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think it's
they
a
do have an
common
arachnophobia
thing.
mode in the game.
Yeah.
There's
I
a
should
mod
turn
for
that on.
Skyrim to get rid of spiders and replace
Oh
them.
man, I
with
wish
other-
I knew that.
Tom's the tank engine.
It does a complete replacement of where they
Oh,
I
should
think
Okay.
go.
my arachnophobia started with A Bug's Life. There was a video game for it, and there was like a whole sequence where you had to work around Daddy Longlegs. Oh, that scared the hell out of me.
But it's okay. Those are insects. They're not spiders.
Yeah, they're not spiders. I was not going to do it, but Cam said it now,
No,
so
it's
I
fine.
can jump right onto it.
I don't care. It's a spider.
It's scary. Yeah. So that's
No, I
like
totally get that.
Ugh. There's like some of the stuff like the eye thing that you said. I immediately just shook. Like I can't.
Mm-hmm. That's
And,
what
like-
it does.
Yeah.
It like shiver. It makes me like
It's like a carnal fear.
Yeah.
Dude, gory stuff where they like are ripping someone in half.
I can
can't
do the
handle
ripping
it.
in half. It's genuinely it's like the like super detailed like surgery type things for me. Really. is.
So like,
If-
you ever seen Bone Tomahawk?
no.
Game.
It's about No, it's not a game. This is a medium. So like, game wise, yeah, I can probably rip someone in half because I played God of War, so I've done it. But like, watching it in a movie, like how you're laughing, but like watching it in a movie, Bone Tomahawk is about basically cowboys and Indians, and then there's cannibals out there as well.
Cowboy cannibals.
I need like a few minutes.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So another thing I was going to mention actually was, and kind of going back to the first question, in Red Dead Redemption 2, I started playing it. I actually got really pissed off that the like good and badness meter weighed so heavily towards bad. You do the smallest things and you're labeled an outlaw, and whereas like if you're used to GTA, you get to kill people and kind of like wipe your record pretty quickly, but in Red Dead Redemption it takes so much freaking work to not be like hated by everyone, and I hated
That's like
that
real
because
life,
like
too,
yeah
from experience.
yeah, and and I know, and I still hate you, but it's just like really, and it really pissed me off. I think I kind of stopped playing because it wasn't as much of a sandbox game where I could like do whatever I wanted. I had to be a good cowboy, and at the same time, there is this one really interesting storyline that's basically you trying to track down a serial killer, and you're finding ripped up and mutilated bodies and body parts across the map that have coded messages, and they're very cryptic. It's like a fucking Zodiac killer type of thing.
Yeah, the very first one for that mission was like pretty jarring because it
Yeah.
involved a rope and a bridge.
Yeah.
And you like go under it, and it was not. Yeah, I remember that. But yeah, to lighten the mood just a little bit, if we want to talk about game mechanics that cross the line for me, if I have to follow an NPC and their movement is slower than my
Oh my
run but
God.
faster than my walk,
So annoying.
I immediately turn the game off.
Yeah.
That's literally in every game, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
feel
what I'm
like
saying
that
about
too.
like Red Dead. It's like you can't go as fast as you want because the game is like,
They
oh no,
purposely slowed it down.
yeah.
They were trying to make you feel like you were living in the Wild West, and it makes me appreciate that I was born in this century, and jealous of everyone who will be born in the future.
Right. I guess moral of this discussion is that any AAA game dev is going to have a more morally corrupt game than any indie developer. So play indie games, everyone.
Well, yeah, and but like you can probably itch.io right now, as much as we love it and talk about it, it is like
Sure, we don't want to talk about it.
yeah, it's a wild west of gaming. You can submit any game you want really on there. And like I told you guys earlier, I was looking through like NSFW tags on itch. I mean, it's super sexual, but it's just insane. It's almost hilarious because you have like sexual content, a lot of furry content, and it's
Honestly.
like, yeah.
But like that's not like, for me, that's not like nearly as line crossing as like, you know, any like violent thing that could be happening.
The line that's crossed is like, wow, this looks really bad. Like, I want to get turned on in high def. Damn it.
Joe talked about it a little bit. He said like the over sexualization, and so the
Yeah.
thing for me is like I can appreciate the outrage associated with the whole like unrealistic standards. But I'm totally for making those things more realistic and still exposing. Like, I want to get like your heavy set 50-year-old just naked walking down the street. Like, I'm totally down for that. As long as we're going to be,
dad bod.
you know, totally true to life about it, go for it.
Right.
Like, I
Show
don't-
real
you gotta
bodies.
make it
Let's not have any more bra armor, please.
Yeah.
Or if you're
Actually.
gonna have bra armor, equally just have man thong armor as well. That's
Totally.
it.
Okay,
Speedo
fair
armor.
enough. Fair
I
enough.
have
Yeah,
big
just
tits
protect
too.
the
I
banana
would probably
hammock.
need
Yeah.
padded bra armor.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, I got to keep these in, man.
I think I peaked while
But
I was
also,
yelling that.
keep the bra armor, but
Make it
the
bro
hitboxes-
armor too.
No, make the hitboxes make sense.
yeah.
They can be sliced in half still.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah. I was actually just talking to somebody about sexualization in media, just like how there's more body positivity now, and there's more of a push to make sexualization of people equal because it's always pushed more towards women. And I think that push has actually made more sexualized content of men instead of taking down the sexualized content of women. Like, you didn't turn that volume down. You turn, and like Dream Daddy Dating Simulator, a game wasn't really made like that with like all the different types of body types before, and they were all sexy. And even
They
like
were
looking through
all
the
sexy.
yeah, and except for that one guy who looked like a vampire, but whatever, that wasn't my type.
That guy was weird.
Yeah, and and he was in like 30-plus-year-old and like in Hot Topic. But point being,
I liked the
don't
motorcycle
grow up.
guy that I
Yes.
nailed the accent on. Nailed it.
God. So like I personally can't say that I would want less sexualization of like male characters. I kind of want to see more that's like done really well, like
just
good
equalize it.
quality. Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Full. Down for it.
Listen, I'm fine with sexualization as long as the sexualization is equal. I think that it's silly that like the male characters. I think Overwatch did it really well, where like there are characters based on their personality that are more sexualized than others because their personality is like, this is who I am. I'm the femme fatale like persona, you know. Whereas like, you know, then you've got like May, who is not, you know, not to bring
Right.
up like a AAA game or anything. But you know, you've got May who like has all of her like winter wear on all the time, and then
she's
you've got
thick.
like the other side of it where Hanzo's just always running around fucking shirtless, and then you've got
Junkrat's more shirtless than Hanzo.
there you go, Junkrat's
Yeah, but
always
Hanzo's
running around.
hot,
So is
okay?
Roadhog too. Right on,
True.
Roadhog.
Hanzo main.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
But-
mean, you want to bring up.
Yeah, you ever
the-
played Huntsman Sniper in TF2? That's what Hanzo is. I killed it with him.
Yeah, a recent example of this would probably be Cyberpunk. To talk
Yeah.
about not
Yeah.
AAA games, but like that was
Bringing it.
I think that they just made the mistake of grasping at it as being like an actual part of the game and then just missing the target completely.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those things like don't try to do it because you're probably gonna do it wrong. Like, yeah.
Yeah, representation is one of those things where you actually have to have representation
Yeah, you actually
in
have
order
to have it.
in order to properly
Yeah.
convey it.
Who would have known?
Yeah. Oh
if
my
I
gosh.
want to get the perspective of this minority, maybe I should have that minority present at the table. Who could have
Right.
guessed?
No, I think a bunch of white executives totally understand what it's like.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, they
Yeah.
they
And
watch
to
some
that
YouTube
aspect-
videos.
And to that aspect, there's probably a lot of stuff that we're missing, just being like all, mostly white males.
yeah, that's true.
Mhm.
Perspective.
Two Spanish people.
Exactly.
Hispanic.
See?
Latino.
Gotta get a female host.
Latino, yeah.
I know.
Put an
And
application out there.
right,
Hispanic
and it's like, how
is-
do you? I always think about that too. It's like, how do you approach that without it being like we're looking for a token hire? But like, you have
But
to
at the
have
same
somebody
time-
be part of your community who actually wants to be on it, right? Or do
yeah,
you,
I think
yeah,
if you approach it
post.
with that, like where the whole thing is like, look, we want additional perspective.
Yeah,
So
actually.
we're looking for it on purpose. It's not token in the sense that
Yeah.
like we're required to do this. It's like we genuinely want to hear that perspective. I think that's the difference is how you approach it.
True. That's a good point.
Yeah,
yeah,
with
I'll
that
just
being said,
encompass all the queer perspectives.
I think that we are getting off topic here, which is okay because we're kind of running toward the end.
We're coping with like all the stuff we talked about.
God.
yeah.
Yeah.
This
Um,
is acceptance.
But if anybody doesn't have anything else to say, I'd love to close us off.
Close it, baby.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. I'm sorry that you had to listen to some of the stuff that you had to listen to us say. But
Oh, I was gonna finish my Bone Tomahawk thing. So
yeah.
it's a bunch of cannibals, and they capture.
Gary, just put
These
this in
guys.
back where it was.
No,
No,
you
we
don't.
right
no,
here.
leave it where
This
it
is how.
Don't
this is
fucking
fluid
touch
and
it, Gary.
organic. Okay,
Great.
so they capture these cowboys, right? Because the cannibals raided the village, and one of the Indian guys leads them there because I think he knows where they are. He gets killed right away. They take this old man and they drag him out. And remember, they're cannibals,
Oh God.
and it's the movie's called Bone Tomahawk. So
Show
the
him a
guy
good
has
time.
he has a bone tomahawk, and he ties him by the legs and hangs him upside down, and then spreads it out, and then he takes the tomahawk and starts cutting him down the middle.
Okay.
And they're showing it.
Hate that.
Yeah, and it's like a 3-minute scene where like he's dying obviously and screaming.
Oh,
And he's like, I'm
Interesting.
gonna, and the other guy in the cell's like, I'm gonna get these bastards, don't you worry. And then like in the end he's like, why'd you say that? I was like, well, that's what I would want to hear if I was being cut down the middle like that.
actually.
Okay, yeah, you can close this out now.
All right. For reiterating, so sorry again that anybody has to listen to that described in detail. If you would like to see a video version of this podcast, we do release that on our Patreon. I know we said it earlier, but I'm just, doing the closeout here. If you do, in fact, subscribe to our Patreon and watch the video version, please tell us who Kenny looks like. It's just been driving me insane this
I was
whole
gonna
episode.
say, like our hair changing throughout when we started the video cast till now is, I think, super interesting.
Yeah.
yeah.
I haven't gotten a haircut since October, so definitely my hair change has just been growing slowly.
You're starting to look like your hair kind of started to remind me of like Mandark hair from Dexter's Lab.
Dude, it's like it's unmanageable. It's not long enough to like go into a
Bowl
bun or
cut.
anything, but it's not short enough for me to have the emo swoop anymore because it's just.
Oh, you
it's
can
too
you can
swoopy.
do. You should try like a half up, half down. That's what I would do at that length.
I've tried. Well, you'll have to
Like
you'll
a
have to teach me how to do it
Ronin
because I'm
or
not good
shonen
at
or
it.
whatever.
So,
Okay.
but anyway, everyone, thank you so much. We are QWERTYcast. This is our podcast about indie games, PC games, everything in between. Please check out everything that we have. We have stickers. We got stickers.
Yeah.
They're really awesome. Thank you so much to Kyle for making these and getting these sent out to us, and I believe our Patreon members got these.
Yeah, the ones
that
who
true?
paid $10 as well. We basically just tried starting this out.
Really quick, we also got a new Patreon member that we should shout out. Like, can we just shout out all our Patreon
Yeah,
members?
yeah,
again,
yeah,
real quick?
please.
Yes, absolutely. If
This
you
should be
guys
like a
take that.
thing where we say every name, and like hopefully as time goes on, that list just gets longer and longer.
Yeah. Because we just had Ethan who just joined our Patreon.
Yeah, thank you, Ethan.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So we need to send him stickers.
Mhm.
They're going to be coming.
Nice.
And if anyone has a list up, my computer's going really slow and won't let me pull it up very quickly.
Oh shit.
I can see if I'm still logged into Patreon.
Bum 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 bada bum bum bum.
Obviously, Calvin, Jackie Daytona.
Ethan, Calvin,
mysteries.
Jackie Daytona,
I'm not
Max
logged
is
in.
on there.
It's Oz.
Max is on there.
I think that's our only 4. I might have it on my phone.
Yeah, I
I'm
think
so
that one
sorry
has-
if we didn't mention. Oh wait, we didn't. Oh no, Jackie Daytona was the new one.
Yeah. All right. While you figure that out, if there's anybody else, I'm gonna keep on going here.
Yeah.
We have our pre-recorded outro, so that will have.
Don't tell them
everything-
it's re-recorded.
You're giving away the
It's
trade
organic.
It's not
It's
organic.
organically
it cuts in.
recorded.
I've listened
Bone
to it.
tomahawk.
The hills have
But
eyes.
anyway,
That's a hard one.
that'll tell you all about our fun website, Twitch, all that kind of
Is
stuff.
it that fun?
It will be. So,
Going
It
great.
will be.
Critic has
you know
that.
what? Yeah, maybe next time we can get everybody, including Joe.
Yeah.
And with that, a hearty QWERTY cast out from me.
It's the QWERTY cast out for me. Okay, bye.
Bye.
This episode is brought to you by our Patreon subscribers, our QWERTYcast hosts, our audio engineer / musical master Gary, and you, our listeners. If you'd like to join our community, find us through QWERTYcast.com, which has links to all of our platforms, including Twitter, Facebook, Patreon, Discord, and more. On behalf of everyone here at QWERTYcast, thanks for listening. This is Cam saying, QWERTYcast out.